Hello, friends, and excited to be talking about one of our favorite subjects. How can we, you know, live with our loved ones on the other side while we're still in the body? So we're live streaming, keeping it real. Don't really edit these lives, so it's not going to be flawless. We're just using this platform to spread the word that we do not have to let go of our loved ones after they cross, right? And this is obviously a controversial subject to the Muggle world, right? Those of you who are Harry Potter fans. So we can understand that there's resistance to it, but nevertheless, it doesn't change the fact that besides people like myself, there are many people who are having relationships and connections with people on the other side. So if you're one of them, comment on this video, not just in the live chat, because I see a lot of our clients, students, and friends in the live chat, but comment on this video. Let us know, are you having contact with the other side? Now, it can be not just loved ones like your guides, your angels, that all counts, right? They're all from the same place. So let us know, what is your experience like? We're going to talk about that today. But before I really get into that, I need to ask you folks a favor, right? If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe because this will help other people get our message. You know, so it's important that we spread this word because again, it's not like the mainstream is going to accept it, not really. That's another reason why we created now a free online learning school on the platform you may have heard of called School with a K instead of a CH. So I have put the link to join below in this description box. So if you're watching this and you haven't joined us yet, please join us. It's totally free. And you will find there some of our best or most favorite or maybe most requested YouTube videos. And people are discussing what we're teaching and sharing and supporting each other. All right, so come and join us. Again, that's totally free and you'll have a more curated area of content. We're going to add much more. There's right now there's probably, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 uh, videos there. They're kind of called classes, but there's some of them are just videos where, because I'm teaching all the time, it's not like I'm just here chit-chatting with you. We're always teaching or healing, right, or guiding people, coaching people. And in the school platform, we also have our Bridge to Heaven masterclass, which you can find here on YouTube, to be honest with you. But there on School, it's all in one place, right? And you can easily navigate it. And you have a community that's always there 24/7. So yeah, come and join us. Anyway, enough about that. Just wanted to, point that out to you because we just opened the door. It's like a couple days ago, and we're just getting started. So, but now back to this subject. Back to this subject, right? That's so near and dear to my heart, and so critical to understand. Um, the main thing that you need to understand if you want to have this connection with the other side. Again, whether we're talking about guides or angels or your loved ones, it's all the same thing. First, you need to grasp the idea, the truth, that we live in a vibrational universe. Okay, what does that mean? Everything has a vibration, everything has a frequency. Clearly, the spirit world, where our loved ones reside, they are at a higher frequency. That's why you can't easily pick up on them. Now, some psychics can, obviously, and some people just come to that more naturally. But basically, it's about us raising our vibration. And not letting our physical mind, our ego personality, do all the work in our life, right? Like prompt us in what to do, and we spend a lot of time, ruminating, analyzing. That's all physical mind stuff. And when you're in that space of your physical mind, your logical mind, you are now bumping up against your beliefs, your limiting beliefs, and your physical mind doesn't understand non-physical reality by definition, because it's to help you deal with and navigate the physical world. So it is more than likely going to put up some resistance to this whole idea that you're using your imagination to connect with spirit. You don't understand that your imagination is the doorway, the passageway, the hallway between the physical world and the spirit world. It really is your superpower. I've said this on our channel countless times. I'll say it forever. You have been brainwashed into thinking your imagination is just make believe and fantasy. And really, it is your creative power. And it is your way to access the other side. Now, to do that, though, and have, a higher experience, right? Like not just because you see, it's not that hard to get a message. It really isn't. And some of you have had that and want more. Humans always want more. But it is not that hard. It is a little more challenging. And I want to say hard because nothing's impossible. It's a little more challenging for you to have a fuller experience, right? Where it holds steady, where you feel the contact. And I don't necessarily mean that you feel them physically, although some people are feeling their loved ones in spirit physically. I hear that from our students that have worked with us, right? That is possible. I have felt Alan physically on occasions. I've seen him holographically. I see him in my mind's eye clearly. And that, by the way, is clairvoyance. So do not let anybody tell you that if you see something, like when you close your eyes or even with eyes open, in your mind's eye, like a hologram or a ghostly image or whatever you want to call it, all right? That is them. You're picking up on them. You're not conjuring it. Physical mind, for most people, there can be exceptions, but for the most part, physical mind doesn't project that because it doesn't believe in it. So why would it go out of its way to create this imaginary image of your loved one looking younger? Because a lot of times when they cross over, they look younger. Like, why would they do that? Your physical mind, if it was able to do that, if it was interested in doing that, would probably pull out a memory of the most recent memory and say, oh yeah, well, this is what he looked like just before he died. And Alan didn't want to show up that way. So he always comes through looking younger or looking kind of kooky because I see him in my mind's eye wearing some strange outfit. I'll go, what are you doing? And I know that that's not me making it up, because I'm always like surprised, like, what is that? And that's his way of showing me it's not you doing it, right? So you can have those experiences, and even more than that, but you got to raise your vibration. You got to be in a certain state of being and not plugged into your physical mind so much. So recently in our Supernatural Love Academy, right? Or that's our premium program. He wants me to call it VIP program. He says very important people. Yes, our students are very important people. I gave homework in the last class and said, your assignment is to choose a day when you have it all to yourself, whatever your day off is, and do not do anything unless you feel this positive impulse to do it. For example, maybe you wake up in the morning and you're lying there in bed and also encourage them to just like ease up, getting up shouldn't be just jump out of bed and start thinking. That's what most people do. Big mistake, especially if you're attempting to connect to loved ones across the veil. Because when you wake up in the morning, in that early moments, you are still blended with the other side. Where do you think you go when you go to sleep? You go home, you plug in to literally your source battery and you are on the other side and you're connecting. You don't remember it. That's how it's designed to be. So don't, worry about it or wonder what's going on. But this means when you wake up, that is the prime time to connect. And for me, sometimes I'm hearing not so much Alan because I kind of always hear Alan at this point, but I can hear my guides and they're advising me about something or they're showing me something. And so there are times when I linger in that state and I kind of have this discussion with them, right? But you can live in that state as well. So when I'm saying, follow your passion, follow your joy, which is how you will connect with the spirit world and live with them, we're talking about following this positive impulse you feel or waiting for it to come. We're choosing, it doesn't have to be something that's major that you go, oh, I'm so excited about doing this. It can be you just feel this gentle nudge to maybe get up and go for a walk or get up and just sit outside for a moment or make a cup of tea or whatever it is. Do not, well, I'm not going to order you to, but resist the urge to just plug into your phone. That is like the worst thing you can do if you want to enhance your connection. Put electronics aside for at least an hour. Literally like longer would be better because in the morning you want to like reset yourself. You're kind of in a way gotten a clean slate. You're more open. Don't go right into worrying about the problems you have. I was laughing saying you have the whole day to get into that. But in the morning, see this as sacred time for you to connect with your spirit, your soul, your loved ones, your guides. This is a time to meditate. You can keep it simple. We're going to share some methods in school. We do have guided meditations in there. We've all like kept them all together. We're going to add more to it. But do something to just ease yourself into the physical world, but blend yourself with that energy. Okay, that is really you. Because the physical world, everything here, you're here in this world of illusion. It doesn't mean it's not of value. It just means we've created this movie, if you will, that we're living, and you're taking it way too seriously if you don't bring along your spirit and you're only functioning with your physical mind, thinking. Some of my students will laugh, but I'll tell them, stop thinking. I mean it. Stop thinking unless you have to analyze something for practical reasons, right? Like calculating the sales tax you got to pay on something or the tip you got to leave at the restaurant. But otherwise, forget the thinking, focus on being. Because when you just be in that state, then you're not plugged into your limiting beliefs. You're more likely going to do that when you're thinking, because that's the domain of the physical mind. It's going to layer on you all your limiting beliefs, and you start putting that into your life, right? You start working from that perspective. So in the morning, you want to really remind yourself that I'm a spirit being who's having a physical experience, right? I'm a spirit. I only have this body for a brief moment in eternity to experience this reality, right? It's like it's my vehicle, like a car, right? It's a vehicle, but I am not my car. I am not my vehicle. I am far greater than that. So when you start to understand that and you follow your joy in each moment, in the early days, I was calling it following my guidance. It's the same thing for me. I felt like, oh, that feels good. Like well, that's really interesting. What is that? I would just literally just kind of zero in on what felt good or what caught my fascination, or I thought fascinating, interesting, piqued my curiosity. That is all coming from not the physical mind, because it doesn't work that way. It's cut those impulses, positive impulses like joy, love, passion, curiosity, fascination, love. Those emotions are coming from your spirit or your soul. Your spirit is the personality, the you here in this life. Your soul is the bigger part of you, the total you. But it's all coming from your soul. Say, come this way, come this way. This is where you need to go. This is where you're going to experience your best life, or this is where all the opportunities lie. This is the next step, right? But most people are shut off from that. You guys out there, I mean, I've been reading more about the brain and most people are just addicted to dopamine rushes. That's why you're scrolling through your phone like all the time, or binging on even on YouTube videos, right? And Alan's saying, except for hours, or no, we're just kidding. You can be addicted to the dopamine rush, and yet feel disconnected because you're off balance. So that spirit has said to me, that's why some people don't know anymore. Like, how do I follow my joy? Like, what is that? Like, because they're just going for the dopamine, like, because it's a heavier, a faster rush, right? More intense. This is more subtle, can be more subtle. It's not like, again, like you get this electrifying rush, and it's a thrill. You get all excited. No, I'm not saying that could not happen. It certainly can happen. But that's not how the spirit world works. The spirit world communication is subtle, and it is primarily emotional, like giving you these feelings like, well, that feels good. But it's not like necessarily you feel this orgasm of pleasure. But what they've shown me, because this morning spirit guided me to watch an interview of somebody who's an expert on dopamine, some doctor. And I thought, why am I watching this? And then they said, because this is why people can't follow their joy. They're so distorted. Okay, and then what happens? Then they default to their physical mind thinking. And that's where you get in trouble, because that your physical mind's not meant to guide you through life. It's just not. You're meant to live intuitively, where you just know what you need to know when you need to know it, and you do what you need to do when you need to do it, because it just says, oh, I'll do this or I'll do that. You don't have to like analyze it to death and go weigh the pros and cons, and there's some things that, yeah, you can do that with, right? But you're not meant to live every moment of your life that way. You've completely lost touch with your emotional guidance system that's coming from your soul, that's broadcasting you these feelings of curiosity, joy, passion, love, fascination. So that's why I told our students, like, take that day off. In fact, better like get off of all your electronics, like, for a day. If you cannot turn off your electronics for one day, you are addicted. Absolutely. You should at least be able to disconnect for a day, right? And if you can't, then you have a problem, right? You have a problem. And more than likely, you are very addicted to the dopamine rush you're getting from social media. As much as people complain about it and say how much they hate it, they're still like, can't stop looking at their screen. So step away from all screens, your TV screen, your monitor, your computer, right, your phone, all of it. And spend the day feeling like into, what do I feel called to do? What feels good to me? Can be a subtle thing, and go with that. So let me give you an example. So if I were to wake up and I might feel this impulse to just sit outside on my lanai for a while, right? And I'll sit there for a while, drink my water. That's just kind of usually my routine anyway. I drink a lot of water in the morning. So I'll drink my water and then feel into, what do I feel I want to do next? And it feels one morning it may be that, I'm going to make some decaf coffee or something, or maybe I'm feeling like I want to listen to music or whatever. But I go with what kind of just presents itself to me, what comes to me. And I don't have a pre-plan. I just don't. I don't live my life like that. Even though I'm really busy and I've got deadlines on things, I'll be sitting there going, "Oh yeah, I got to teach this live stream. What was I teaching again?" And then Spirit goes, "Don't worry, it all comes together," and it does. So I live in the moment like that. I don't always wait till last minute. Sometimes it's way in advance, but it's like I know what needs to get done. I will get to it. What's really important, and I don't obsess about it. And that's why my life is pretty stressless because I'm going with the flow. So that's what you need to do in order to live, you know, through the veil with your loved ones on the other side. Is you're living in the moment. That means you're focused in the now, which is where they are. But most people, especially if they're newly bereaved, are their minds go back to the past. They have thoughts about loss. They have doubts that they can connect with them, or they don't believe they connect with them. And that is going to create grief for you. And that is actually going to separate you from them because those thoughts, you're going in resistance to who you truly are as a soul. Because your soul knows they're right here. Your physical mind is putting up all these negative beliefs that they're not, or that you can't do it, or that it's impossible. That's the part of you that doubts. And so one of the key things I focus on in our academy with students is reminding them you got to pay attention to who's doing the thinking. And when you find yourself thinking a thought like that's limiting, like, well, I won't be able to connect with them. Everybody else will, but not me. You have to ask yourself, is that coming from my soul? And you'll know right then and there, the answer. Because your soul would never say that to you. Your soul never speaks in terms of limitation, not spiritual limitation. There are no spiritual limitations except there are laws of creation. That's a whole other thing. But the law of creation says that you eternally exist, which means they eternally exist. And the law of creation also says what you put out is what you get back, which means if I believe I can have contact, I will have it. The challenge you face is that you've been programmed to believe that you're powerless. So that's the first thing that you've got to change is your belief that you're not in charge, that you're powerless, or that you're a victim. Because if you have that belief that you're a victim, or that you are not powerful, or you're not source energy, you don't have to say God. Some of you have issues saying you're God. And if you do, by the way, that's a limiting belief too, because you're everything. God's just, you have some issue with the terminology God or creator, or, then that's a person who doesn't believe in their worth. Because we're all God. You're not saying you're better than others. You're saying you are like everybody else because everybody is God. It doesn't make you special. The irony here is it would be more unusual or special if you weren't God, but that's impossible because you are existence made manifest in this body, right? You're God, you're creator. So if you have those beliefs, you're going to struggle connecting to the other side. You have those limiting beliefs that you're less than, that you're powerless, that you're a victim, or that this connecting across the veil is hard. Alan said to me, it's actually the easiest, most natural thing one can ever experience, but you've got a strong physical mind that is fighting against that because it's terrified that you're going to trust the unseen world more than the physical, when really we're suggesting that you believe in both. It's not like you throw out the physical world. You're here in the physical world. You need your ego, physical mind to help you manage it and navigate it, or you would be completely lost because the higher mind can't do that. But the physical mind is gonna throw a tantrum. It's going to make you afraid. It's going to make you start doubting. And that you have to be prepared for it. Most people are not. They just trust that whatever those doubts are must be true. Isn't this interesting? Humanity has been programmed to more easily believe in negativity, negative statements, right? Doubts, fear. They readily accept that, the concept of less than, not enough, anything fear-based. Have a really hard time, many people, believing in the positive, because that's how beaten down humanity has been through centuries. And that's what you're kind of up against. But the good news is, because you are source energy and you are an eternal spirit for who can create their reality as they see fit, once you get that, you're tapping into the truth. Your physical mind doesn't stand a chance when you are into its game, that it's lying to you, that it's just spouting the programming that it was given. But you have to be conscious in your awareness and hear yourself when you say it or write it and go, "Oh, wait, that's not true." When you think that limiting thought, you've got to catch it. You've got to stop being sloppy and lazy with your thinking if you want to connect through the veil. There's no other way to it, because that will raise your frequency, because now you're stepping into the truth of who you are, who you truly are, this spirit, this eternal being. Any thought, belief that goes against that truth is a lie, and it hits your vibration and you will go down in your frequency. Because if you think that, you're thinking it, you're manifesting it in your field. It's there in your reality. You cannot unthink it. So the best you can do when you think a negative limiting thought is counter it with a positive thought that basically cancels it out so that you're back to zero. But many of you have spent your whole life thinking all these negative thoughts that are like a mountain, literally, like energetically in your field, and very few thoughts that are truly empowering or positive. But the good news is you can blast all that negative stuff away by waking up and claiming your power, because that higher frequency, that higher energy, that truth is stronger than all those limiting beliefs. And you got to be determined. Did you understand that change can happen by you just getting so fed up that you go, "I'm sick of this. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired," or "I'm tired of being a victim or thinking I'm a victim. I'm done with that. I'm claiming my power." That is how quickly you can shift and raise your frequency, and it can stay there. You're meant to live in this state. You're meant to not just meditate. Meditation is useful. Don't get me wrong, important, but you're here not just to meditate to find peace, but you're meant to live in a meditative state. Did you know that? I pretty much do that now. I'm kind of always in this tuned in state. You're meant to be tuned into who you really are all the time. But most of you, it fluctuates. Some of you very wildly, but it's based on the thoughts you're thinking in the moment. Okay. So I'm going to, wrap this up by reading something that one of our students shared in our academy group that she wrote, because she took the homework assignment and ran with it and had an amazing experience. So I want to read that to you because it shows you what's possible. Because yes, you can not just have moments, but connect with them and have this experience of almost being in another world, although you are in this world, but you're living in a heightened state. And when you're in a heightened state, you're going to have these incredible experiences with them because they're right here. They're not gone. There's nowhere else to go. Everything is here. It's not like there's this a million miles away. Like it's not. Reality is interwoven here, right? And that's important for you all to understand. So, okay, so I'm going to read this. And it is about following our passion. And it's from our student, Elaine. My mom was 97 years old when she passed, and she had dementia. This morning, when I woke up, I had the strong urge to call her and just check in to see what she was doing, like I always had. I knew she wouldn't answer the phone or anything, so I just carried out my plans in my mind. In my mind, she answered her phone like she always did. I could even see what she was wearing. I pictured her as probably being in her 80s before the dementia. In 3D life, she was always very active and didn't even retire from work until she was 81 years old. In the scenario in my mind, she was telling me all about the things she was trying to get done around the house. And I told her that I would be over there later. Having this interaction with her in my mind, my mood just went through the roof, and I was having a very good day. I do actually go over to her house every day to work on things because I will gradually be moving over there. On my way there, I wondered if my mood would drop when I got there and didn't find her there. It wasn't like that, though. It still felt like she was there, but I just couldn't see her. I hung out there and did the kinds of things I would usually do when I would go spend time with her at her house. My mood or the seeming reality of the experience hasn't lessened. I just mentioned this because it is different than what I have previously experienced from her since she passed, in getting messages or signs or hearing her voice or having her give me answers or information I needed. And yet something about this seemed very real. I probably wouldn't have posted this other than it reminded me of the assignment given about following our passion, even for just a day. I just felt like all of this just popped up for today, and all I had to do was to follow it, right? So I told Elaine she got an A plus on her homework because that's how simple it can be. That you take a moment to tune in. Maybe you call them on the phone that no longer exists, then dial the number even though it doesn't, exist anymore, or and then let your imagination, which again is the bridge, it's the passageway, take you to connecting. You do not feel emotion like feeling good, feeling happy, unless you're holding a thought that will bring it up. And when you feel good, when you feel happy, you are closer in vibration to them. And you can see them and they can more connect with you because now you're meeting them halfway because you've lifted up to them compared to thinking thoughts of doubt or worry or being in your usual 3D state, right? So if you want to have this connection across the veil and want to live with them like every day, you can. You're the only one stopping it. You're the one that can make it happen. They can only do so much. We have to meet them halfway because they can't jump in our body and think our thoughts for us, which will make us feel better if they could make us think thoughts that are positive, right? And just said to me, even if we could do that for you, which we can't, but even if we could do that for you, we would never do that for you because that would rob you of the growth you're experiencing from stretching yourself to saying, I'm not just my physical mind. When you're living through the veil like this, it's not like you're only being your higher self. It's not. When I read Elaine's post, I actually got very emotional, and Alan started talking to me, and I said, "This is what you mean. This is how we're meant to live, right?" He says, "Yes, you're meant to live with your higher mind and your physical mind as one. Where, yeah, you're going through your day to day. You're doing because you need the physical mind to drive you where you want to go, or so that you won't bump into a table that's in front of you because it has to observe the world that you're trying to navigate. But when they work together and you're not allowing the physical mind to do what it's not created to do, meaning like overanalyze and talk in fear and be all stressed and worried, and you're letting it calm down and saying, I just need you to help me get through the world. I don't need you to figure anything out. I just need you to be present, help me focus, right? My awareness. I'll take care of the rest. When you do that, that's how you can live between the two worlds, right? And you'll know you're there because when you're in that state, you're rarely thinking a negative thought related to your spirit connection. In other words, you're not doubting what you're perceiving because it's really easy for your physical mind to go, well, you just made that up. That's in your head. That's not real. But if you're really blended and your physical mind is kind of toned down, it's not running the show. Some of you got work to do to kind of quiet down the physical mind. But once they are able to work together, and this is what we focus a lot on in our workshops and our healings to help you balance all this, really that's what we do. Our work is not just teaching you and giving information. We're really healing you, or the other side is, let's say, because I'm channeling the higher realms, the angels and guides. But when you have that partnership in place, then you can live every day, in every moment, in lockstep with your loved ones across the veil, for right here. And if you're doing that, you wouldn't be fretting about whatever you're perceiving. You wouldn't be thinking to yourself, well, I want to see more, or this isn't enough, because that's all the domain of the physical mind, which doubts and questions and criticizes and is never, ever, ever satisfied, right? Physical mind is insatiable, never enough. It never enough. It wants more and more and more and more, right? It is addicted to more. Higher mind knows the truth that everything that's happening is perfect. But when they're working together, you're not going to be in that state of saying, like, but I want more, this isn't enough, or questioning it. That's when you know that you've made it. Okay. Will you ever think a negative thought? Again, of course you will. To be in a body means you're here for the contrast. But when you do it, you'll probably stop yourself and go, oh my God, what did I just do? Because it will be so incongruous, right? Like, oh my God, I just thought that negative thought and I haven't done that in a long time. So it'll stand out for you because you so moved away from that, right? So in the beginning, you've got to tone down your physical mind, calm it down, tell it, I've made you do work you weren't designed to do. You're just here to literally just experience reality and help me navigate it so I don't, get hurt. So when I drive my car, I know where to turn and I know when to stop and all those things. Or even when I just walk through my house, I know, where the furniture is so that I don't hit right into it. It really is just for that. I want you to really think about that. That's all your physical mind's meant to do, is to navigate the 3D world and experience it for you, with you, and take note of that. Your higher mind is the one that has the bright ideas, and actually has the inspired thought, and actually will tell you, yeah, that's a good idea. This is the next step. This would be perfect for you, and is communicating to you through emotions, positive emotions, and definitely sometimes messages, because you'll get these ideas because they can put ideas in your head. You'll go, wow, that's a great idea. And then especially if it's one that you feel it, like you go, oh, that feels good. I got this idea. Guess what? You just hit a home run. That you are tapped in to your higher self. But that doesn't come from your physical mind. So your first job is to know you are of two minds, and those two minds need to work together. Higher mind, for most people, needs to be more present, be more, more connected to you consciously, because so you're aware of it. I was speaking in emotion and sometimes inspired thoughts and messages. And the physical mind is calmed down because it's usually just inflated and it's doing too much. And that's why you're stressed. Stress comes from a hyperactive physical mind that thinks it has to run your life, when that's the surefire way to derail your life and create a lot of chaos and confusion. You're meant to be, just be you and be connected, right? With your higher mind and physical mind, and live intuitively knowing what you need to know. You need to know it. So again, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, subscribe, please. Help us get the word out. Share this video if it resonates with you. Join us in school. We have more surprises coming. And we also have a workshop that we're in the midst of teaching. We're teaching like in about 15 minutes from now. It's Healing with the Archangels. And if you're watching this way later, it will be for sale, for purchase. And you can get it that way. But if you're watching it and we're still in the midst of teaching it, because it's only February 11th right now, and we're teaching it till February 25, you can still jump in because all the replays are there in your workshop library that you'll have access to indefinitely. All right. So lots of love. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week. All right. Take care.